On this particular segment, we continue to get expectations from the young people, young entrepreneurs, from this new administration under the United Party for National Development. Joining us is Mr. Mbuyoti Chola. He's the president of the Youth Entrepreneurs Association of Zambia, also CEO of DigitalBlue Media Marketing and Advertising Company. Mr. Chola, welcome to Millennium.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you. First things first, I want to find out from you what the Youth Entrepreneurs Association of Zambia is about, what you do.
Okay, so Youth Entrepreneurs Association of Zambia is an autonomous, countrywide youth entrepreneurs based association and non-governmental and non-profit making. It was established in 1989 through
a long time.
Yeah, quite a long time. But the old folks have not started it by now, I think.
I didn't want to ask whether you were born by then or not, but yeah, I'll ask that for sure.
I think I'll answer that question off air. Yeah, right. So when it was started out of a program called SELP by the International Labour Organization. It was targeting school leavers, pupils actually, enabled to give them entrepreneurial skills after they're out of school. But it ended up being more interesting, and they tried to extend it to every young person out there, and then the association was born from then. So 1989, it had been running, did several projects, but I think by the early 2000s, it started to fade out because then the people were growing out of age, and the team that is currently running it now just picked it up from 2019 and begin to rebrand it and just bounce back again, because the vision, I think, is great. It focuses more on inculcating the entrepreneurial skills and helping young entrepreneurs and those aspiring to be entrepreneurs, because the truth is entrepreneurship is the backbone of every economy. Without an entrepreneur, not even the government can create any job. They can create jobs, but not as much as they can with entrepreneurs.
How are you doing that as an association? How are you inculcating the spirit of entrepreneurship in the young people? What programs, what services are you engaged in? Okay,
so we focus mainly on our pillars are really to educate, network, and grow. So some of the things that we do organize seminars and indabas, including trainings. For example, one of the things that we're preparing for now, which is quite exciting, is a training and funding program. So we're not saying, look, we're going to go to the government, we need money to empower. So what we started to do is we're putting a small figure for that training, for the skill, because we believe that most entrepreneurs fail because of the lack of the skill, not because the money is not really there, but the skill. We can give them the money, but then they fail. So we'll organize the training, train them in the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, and then ask them not to submit business plans. Then the same amounts that we are paying, I think we about 70% of the money people are paying. 30% is going towards mobilizing that training. 70% is being given back to the young entrepreneurs as loans.
You give it back to them.
Those that have great ideas. Then we feel like that's a good start, because if you start that, it's much easier to ask another person, say, hey, can you also help to fund these young people? So we believe we, the young people, can start that. And that's what we're trying to inculcate. So if you look at that, there's training and empowering, which leads to growth.
Are you being funded at the moment?
No.
Self-financed?
Self-financed. The few young people that we have on board in the executive, they sacrifice every penny they have.
I want to find out, just to get an overview on how far we've come as a nation. We've been talking about the need for our young people out there to embrace entrepreneurship, to take this up, not to just rely on the white-collar job, the white-collar that you have, Mr. Chola.
Which I didn't have some time ago when I started.
I would want to find out the developments that are taking place. Do you feel we are on course in ensuring that entrepreneurship thrives in the country? And in answering that, I would also want you to maybe share some of the gaps that are there before this particular sector receives the much needed support base.
Okay. So let me start by stating the illusion that most people think entrepreneurs need. The most illusion people think is entrepreneurs need capital. I think it's an illusion, because if you give capital to entrepreneurs now and the environment is not favorable for them, they'll still fail. So the main thing that we need to really address is the favorable environment. And we talk about favorable environment. Right now, the things that are choking most entrepreneurs is 2, early stage taxation, especially for the younger ones. Like, it really chokes. And if you look at this closely, it has resulted into a lot of tax evasions. Most young people don't register their business because they are scared. We're talking about 4% of whatever amount you make if you are not turning over not more than 800,000 per annum. And how many entrepreneurs are taking not more than that? A lot of them, if any, almost every young person is not turning that much. So I think we need to differentiate the economy in the third world and in the developed world. Because it's like I tell people, a startup in Zambia and a startup in the USA are two totally different scenarios. Yeah. A startup in Zambia, we're talking about someone starting up a business with a 5,000 kwacha. In the US, we're talking about someone starting a business probably even $100,000. So if you tell me, oh, you're a startup, we need you to pick that. No. Understand where we are. I'm a startup with 5,000 kwacha. So on top of that, I'm starting with 5,000 kwacha. One is taxation. The second one, even the banking services. Most young entrepreneurs right now are avoiding to bank. Why? Because the cost is too high. Ask me, if I'm making 1,000 kwacha per month and I'm starting, and that's real. Yeah, a lot of young people, they're trying their best and they're just making 1,000 kwacha and the bank is going to charge you 150 kwacha.
As a monthly charge.
As a monthly charge. Where does that take you? I'm glad that lately I'm not promoting FNB. It's my bank. I love it. But I just noticed what latest account that they introduced, which they call the startup account. So far, I think it's the only bank with a startup account, which is 59 kwacha. And I think they deserve to be applauded for that because the lowest in Zambia was 86 kwacha, and it was still by FNB. I'm not saying they're the best bank, but if we can lower these costs to much lower than that.
I do understand what you're saying, and just a few days ago, I was having a conversation with another entrepreneur who mentioned that one of the greatest challenges that young people are facing in their startups is the huge taxes that they have to pay. Even in terms of registration, just for you to register a business, how many PACRA, I don't know how many registrations you have to do, trading license, business levy. But then the question that I keep having is, how best can we do this? Because you still need to register your business legally. You still have to pay these fees. So how can we maneuver around this?
The registration, I think actually things like PACRA are more favorable. ZRA doesn't charge to register, they don't charge you anything. But you find that when you move from sector to sector, that's when now the cumbersomeness comes in, the unnecessary cost comes in. There are certain sectors that are deliberately set up in a way that they've got a barrier to entry. For example, the financial sector is one of the most, it's really has a lot of barriers to it. The construction sectors, I don't know how many regulators are there in construction. And each of them you have to pay them annually.
Yeah.
So if it's a startup has got a 10,000 kwacha, you can't enter the construction industry with 10,000 kwacha. If you want to enter into finance, you can't enter there with less than 10,000 kwacha. Because the cost, Bank of Zambia alone, to get a trading license for micro lending, you need at least 20,000. Just a license.
Just a license.
Just a
before
license.
Before you even start working.
Yeah. Okay. Do you only pay the Bank of Zambia alone? You have to register the Bankers Association of Zambia. If you don't do that, if you go in as a micro lender, you won't be given access to the credit bureau, which increases your risks. Then what's the point of being there?
And what I'm getting from your explanation is like we have these regulations maybe in each particular sector depending on what it is. You've mentioned banking and construction. It's like they're there to favor more the big already existing companies, and it's hard for the upcoming entrepreneurs like me to be able to partake in that particular sector. Now, how best can the young people be able to package themselves in a way that they're still able to overcome these challenges that they are facing like on a daily basis?
Okay, the fact that these barriers are already there, so of course, if government cannot relax them for everyone else, there are bodies like the Youth Entrepreneurs Association of Zambia. There can be exceptions to youth entrepreneurs that are attached to that particular body. For example, if you say you're a startup, then you're associated to an association. They say, okay, every member of this association who is a youth, they get maybe, I know in the manifesto for UPND, it's there that they're advocating for tax exemption for small businesses that are starting up. That's a good move. If they do that, it eases a little bit of things. And if they also give priorities for certain businesses young businesses that want to enter certain industry to be exempted from that. Of course, we can't say, oh, just rule it up. It means, again, the competition is like the competition becomes the same because the bigger guys, again, still have a better chance at it. But if there can be much relaxed conditions for small entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, who are the youth, and the truth is the youth are the majority. So if you don't give them favorable condition to enter into particular industries and also be able to make it out there, meaning as we go, we'll only have either foreign entities or the old foxes running the show, and the youth entrepreneurs will still be struggling. And as they struggle, you have to realize that also pushes unemployment.
You mentioned a very important point when we were just beginning of the illusion that capital is one of the most important things before your startups. Don't you feel it is? Because let's hypothetically speaking, let's give an example of maybe all these registrations are removed exemptions, the taxes exemptions for startups. Go in without the money. How will you do it?
Capital. When we say capital is not cash alone. Agreed?
We are hearing from you.
Yeah, so capital is not money alone. Capital could mean a lot of other things. Capital could mean skills. Capital could mean the resources. There's social capital you can leverage on as an entrepreneur. So per se, let me say intensive capital is an illusion. Second,
yeah, maybe if you correct it.
Yeah. Intensive capital is an illusion where you say, okay, I just need 100,000. If you can be able to put together any amount that can allow you to have your legal framework in place and begin to run, you're good to start, depending with the sector that you're in. And you can leverage on the social capital that you have. I can give an example. When I first started my first business, I think I only borrowed like 20 kwacha from Airtel and 20 kwacha from MTN, converted that into data. And the first deal that I managed to get illegally without registering, I quickly rushed to get my legal framework in place and started to leverage on that. And before I knew it, I started to plow back the little profit that you're making. And so I think it's also the process. That's why we're saying the skills aspect, the training aspect is very key to also entrepreneurs, because one can say, I don't have the capital, give them the money, they don't have the skills on how to scale up their business, and they still fail.
Let's try to zoom in on the importance of information. One particular thing, like he's mentioned, is the issue of capital. Or what we're waiting for is that I have this very brilliant idea and I'm waiting for huge sums of money to come to my way without maybe this particular young person, entrepreneur, researching on that, getting the valid information, meeting other people who've done what you are trying to do, because there is somebody who's done what you're trying to do. How important then is information for a young person, and how does technology as well play a part in that?
Information, I think, is not even I think, it's very important for not just for an entrepreneur, for anyone. If you're not, let me give a typical example. You want to marry somebody. You can't just jump in and say, hey, I'll marry you today without knowing who they are. That's the greatest risk you can go into. What if you're marrying a murderer? So even in business, information is key. Before you enter into any industry, research about the legal frameworks around that industry, around that sector, what's required of you. Don't be caught by surprise when you enter into there. And I think information technology has eased things a little bit. Of course, we don't have as much data, especially on the Zambian market. It's been a struggle for most entrepreneurs when they're working on their business plans in terms of where can I get this data. But of course, you can. It's not as bad as it were 20 years ago and 10 years ago. You really have to knock on people's doors, like, I'm looking for this information. By then, I think the Central Statistics Office, okay, can I see the data for this? Can I see? And mostly they would have data on specific industry like health, finance. Certain sectors, like right now, manufacturing doesn't have much data in Zambia. If you ask me, you can't know the most consumed product by going online. You have to probably knock on certain doors to say, okay, what's the consumption pattern for this product? And things like that in developed countries, that's what entrepreneurs leverage on to project on what businesses should focus on. Because you have to look at the current demand. You don't just have to wake up today, so, oh, I love doing this, so I'm going to delve in this business. So you look at the data data is everything. So the information is everything. You look at the information, is the demand good enough? And if anything, go ahead, do your customer research, do your customer persona research. Okay, is this demand matching what is there? Are people willing to pay for this particular amount? All that's information. And right now, especially in the time of COVID, we've seen a lot of young people doing online customer researches in the comfort of their homes. So I think technology is being leveraged very well.
I know you work with a lot of young people, with the work that you do, of course, in the association. So one particular thing, also the kind of mood that we saw when we saw the now President Hakainde Hichilema being announced, is so much excitement, how Bali is going to fix people's lives. Now, when you bring this down to entrepreneurs specifically, what kind of a mindset should they have for them to be able to make it? Because we saw COVID, unprecedented, unforeseen COVID came in. It changed a lot of things, the usual way that business is done. So two things. How does the young people, even with the new government, with a hopeful, like seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, what kind of a mindset should they have, and also how should they be able to work against the unforeseen life circumstances, if I can call it like that?
The first thing I would say is Bali will fix it. For me, in my opinion, was just a political slogan. Bali won't fix nothing if we don't start to fix ourselves. So yes, there's hope out there, but if we're going to fold our hands because Bali said it's going to fix it, nothing will get fixed. So as entrepreneurs, we just have to leverage on the words that are there. Not necessarily that Bali will fix them. Bali will fix it if we help Bali to fix it. But if we sit back and say Bali will fix it, they can come back to me. Nothing will be fixed. So it's us coming out. Just like I said, it's us to actually go to Bali, say, Bali, this is what we have on the table. How can you help us fix it? And even in the fixing, in the real scenario, the government only creates a favorable environment. So when you say Bali will fix it, we're not saying, okay, you start dishing out money to everyone else, just so that everyone else is happy. No. We mean us working hand in hand with the current government and creating that favorable environment so that we can thrive.
Okay.
Great. I know you've answered this question in some parts. What would you expect in real sense? What would you expect the new government to put in place in favoring the young entrepreneurs? We've talked about the issue of taxes, for example, creating a conducive environment. What do you expect the new government to do in promoting young entrepreneurs?
Okay. Apart from the taxation aspect of it, in overall, I think entrepreneurship itself has to be inculcated in a lot of young people. There have to be deliberate platforms that should be able to allow entrepreneurs to grow. For example, you can not only seminars or conferences, you can have conferences and seminars, but let there be avenues where entrepreneurs can network with others and also connect with people that will be relevant to them. If, let's say, not mistake, what are called deal rooms. Sometimes the platforms, you can even have a government platform that's called like a deal room platform where entrepreneurs can connect with potential partners, potential investors, potential co-founders, because it's in those kind of platforms. And what I'm saying, if government could have that, whoever is behind something gives confidence to whoever is on the platform. So if say this platform is owned by the government, they allow young people to be on there, or it could be a third party in partnership with the government. It will have a lot of confidence from other investors or partners to be on it. And if young people are there, they're likely to network. All those are like platforms or things that can help create a favorable environment. On the real ground, apart from taxation, certain fees can also be relaxed for young entrepreneurs. Then young entrepreneurs, even in government tenders or even private tenders, would love to see a situation where a particular percentage is deliberately secured for youth entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs. Say, out of this budget, we're looking at least let 5% or 10% be given to a youth entrepreneur. How? Youth Entrepreneur Association of Zambia is there. If a youth entrepreneur is associated to is registered as a member of that association, they just need to attach their certificates. They can verify, is this person a member? Although we've got two of this. Okay, this contract, let's say it's a road. We just need someone who can supply this, maybe supply this particular materials. And maybe can we give this to the young person? We've not had such policies before where a deliberate percentage is being given to youth. It's just they'll just say Zambians, but who are the bigger guys in the construction industry, for example? Do we have a lot of young people in the construction industry? No, most of them are bigger, are elderly people. But the youth also, they're struggling. But if they can be given that opportunity, deliberate by the government, okay, 10% deliberately has to be given at least to a youth entrepreneur or a youth cooperative, which is something which we're trying to advocate for. Because
youth cooperative.
Yes, not village banking. Please, I don't advocate for village banking. We've seen a lot of damage village banking has done. But we're trying to advocate also for youth cooperatives, and I'm glad that the UPND manifesto mentions about that. They don't necessarily say youth cooperatives, but I think they're saying community cooperatives. So they can also promote youth creating these cooperatives, because most young people get it wrong when they're just one person, two people. They're all over the show. But cooperatives also comes back to answering our question about capital. If it's a cooperative that's got 1,000 young people and probably a board of 6, 1,000 times maybe 1,000 kwacha, we've got 100,000 already there. So if they can consolidate those things and also find a way they can regulate these cooperatives in an effective manner, just like I advocate for village banking to be regulated, because we've seen a lot of people lose a lot of sums of money.
Two last questions before we let you go this morning, Mr. Chola. I think it would be unfair if we let you go without talking about the company that you are running, DigitalBlue Media. Tell us briefly what you do. When was it established? So
DigitalBlue was established in 2018. It's less than 4 years old. So our focus is... You
founded it?
I co-founded it.
Co-founded?
Yeah, I co-founded DigitalBlue. So we focus on digital marketing and branding. So we're a digital marketing and branding agency. So we serve both local, we have served and we still serve both local and international clients that seek to increase their visibility and as well as increase the market share and just overall sales. So those are like our main things, and our delivery is deliberately result-based.
Out of curiosity, I would want to find out from you lastly, being an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, do you have 3 names of young entrepreneurs that you can cite that are doing great things out there in society?
I can. I can cite them, though I don't think it would be wise for me to point out certain names.
No, it's good. I think Zambians need motivation. They need inspiration.
Local motivation.
Local motivation. Zambians, we want to know who is actually even doing it successfully.
Okay. Some of them, I don't know their age, so I may say they're young entrepreneurs, and some are like, they're older.
Yeah, let's hear their names.
But the first person that I really, even personally look up to, who is still young, I believe is still a youth, is Dumisani. Dumisani has gone, I think is one of the guys that has put a blind eye to what the government is going to do. It's like, I'll do just this on my own. And I've seen him champion that end of entrepreneurship. Another person that I'm mentioning people in my circles that I'm going to work with is Daniel Kabani. Daniel Kabani is still also, I think, young. He's not yet 35, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, so Daniel Kabani also is doing greatly on that end. I know Maria from the last conversation we had, she skipped that age a little bit, but she's also still energetic. Yeah, Maria Zalomis is still doing it out there. I know also of, I've forgotten the name of that young lady. She's also into agriculture.
There's so many.
There's so many. We're talking about also, I'm not sure if Mwinda Mulongoti is still a youth, but she's also doing fine in the digital space. We've got a span of young entrepreneurs that are affiliated to Bongo Hive community, because I'm affiliated to Bongo Hive community. I know a lot of young of them, like Njavo Msanga, Njavo, a good friend, but of course he's not now in Zambia. He's decided to, is in Kenya, in Uganda, I think, if not Kenya, but is now running a very good initiative about restaurants, how to help restaurant businesses, and they're rolling back also into Zambia. So we think that there are a lot of young entrepreneurs doing it out there, even in the harsh environment. A lot of them are still trying to struggle out there.
Yourself, trying to be humble. Or, but yeah, thank you so much, Mr.
Well, I think you asked me all 3
the first one.
It's supposed to be like one of your names. Mr. Chola, thank you so much for very insightful insights you've brought out. I think the viewers are excited. How can they get into contact with you? Some people that would want to be affiliated to your association. Okay, so with the association, let me not put my number, but let me give the number we can use for the association. By email, you can reach us at info@yeaz.sa.
So YEAZ is YEAZ.org. Then the contact number that you can reach us on is, I think, 09. Let me just fetch it for our PR. I don't do communications. Yeah.
If it's very far, I can give it at the end.
Yeah, we can give it at the end, but I got it, I think. Okay. So that's 0972 657 669. 0972 657 669. That goes direct to our PR.
Perfect. That was Mbuyoti Chola, President of the Youth Entrepreneurs Association of Zambia. Is also the Chief Executive Officer of DigitalBlue Media Marketing and Advertising Company, discussing expectations from the youth entrepreneurs in the new government. When we return from the break, we move straight into our training topic. We're discussing is free education attainable. We'll be back shortly.